So welcome to another one. Yeah, the exam phase is over. Finally, gotta say, like the last 3 weeks were probably more stressful than the whole like 12 or 30 challenge that I did prior to that. I don't know. Like university is just, it's draining me so much. Like I can't think about anything else and stuff. And I really did neglect my, not necessarily productivity, but just like my routines a little bit more than I would have liked. I feel like that was necessary in some cases to get the results that I did have to get. But nevertheless, now that I'm done with that, I wanted to, kind of like recap my productivity, my goals in terms of working, physical activity, and general health, and kind of see like how can I improve on that, how can I maximize my productivity. And yeah, I want to take you guys along to, kind of like share some thoughts and some insights on how I tackle that, what's important for me, and how I basically design the systems around that to, yeah, help me get the most out of my life. Yeah, so that's gonna be the topic for this week, and I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, let's see how that all goes. All right, so before we get to each of the segments that I want to prioritize, I want to talk about the priority itself. And I mean, nothing has really changed that much since I last talked about this. I think priority in terms of productivity is really important still. Um, yeah, but let's run you guys through it. So the biggest priority for me will probably be sleep though, this time. I think last time I mentioned work, but I think sleep has like the biggest overshadowing effect on all areas that I want to improve on. Because like if I sleep better, I can work and concentrate better. I can also train better, and my recovery is better, and this also affects my general health. So with this, like just focusing on one aspect will have a positive outcome on all the others. So I think it is very important to prioritize that in a way, but it is kind of like a shared top priority with work because of course if there's like a lot of stuff on my plate, I would neglect sleep in order to get the stuff done that I need to get done. So that is kind of like a shared priority, but overall I would put sleep at number one and then followed by working or business and then the gym and then general health. Yeah. So like in that order probably, and I will always look for that like a lower priority does not negatively affect one that is like a level higher. So for example, with my training, if I train really hard and I feel like I need to recover more, and I'm like really sluggish due to fatigue, I would decrease my training load in order to have a more consistent output in terms of work and concentration, and not like lower workload in order to recover better from training. So in that way, like this is how like the priorities kind of like play into each other. That way, always, highest priority of course is always most important. And yet the goal is to basically create systems and processes in order to ensure progress in each of the priorities that I have. And yeah, we're gonna do that now.
Right now, it's just you and me.
All right, so guys, yeah, finishing up a productive day of work now, and yeah, I mean, before we get to like all the stuff on how I will actually, like stay more productive, I think one of the most important things is to eliminate distractions. Because, and for me, like I gotta say, I'm very distracted by this. Like, sometimes it's really bad, and great way that I found to work around this, and this was actually recommended by a friend, is my home screen looks like this. So as you can see, there is nothing really going on there. I got 2 pages of that. Yeah. So just to make like my phone as boring as possible, I also have like an app called Opal that I use to block certain apps for a certain period of time throughout the day. And then I also use OneSec. Like it's like a loading screen every time you open specific apps, just to, you know, kind of like create certain barriers in front of distracting things, so they become less appealing ultimately. And that helped me to, and that definitely helped me to, you know, like stay more focused and stay more locked in when it comes to doing things that I need to do, because I'm just like not as motivated to, you know, get distracted by my phone. Yeah, and I think you can apply this to anything else. I mean, if there is like a big distraction that is not your phone in your life, just make it as hard as possible to interact with it. And a phone is kind of like a difficult thing, because of course you need it to like communicate and stuff. But still, I mean, just trying to make it as difficult as possible to interact with the distractions is, I think, a great idea. And I gotta say, it proved to be very efficient for me. So yeah, I can definitely recommend this. Oh yeah, the app, before I forget this, the app that I showed in the beginning that makes your home screen basically just like a blank sheet. It's called like, it's like a minus sign. It's just a minus sign. There's like no name for it. And those are all the apps that I use to eliminate the distractions on my phone. So just finished up with a nice little work day. Yeah, and about to leave for the gym. But before we do that, I do wanted to talk about how I will make my work life a little bit more productive. And I gotta say, it has been very productive, and our organization has actually really improved over the last months. But a couple things that I did wanted to change anyways. Yeah, so for the overall organization of the company, we do use Notion for like most of the things, you know, like documentation of meetings, just like general stuff for organizations and notes and everything else. So Notion is a great tool for that. The only problem that I personally have with Notion is that I think that it's not the best tool when it comes to task creation or like task management, just because it's so complex and it's really hard to add tasks into Notion really fast. And yeah, and that is something that I think is really important for me, because I want to add tasks really fast. Like whenever I have like a thought or think of something that I need to do, like 5 seconds later, I want the task to be created so I don't forget about it. And that's why I will probably use a mixture of Things 3 and Notion in the future. So add the task really fast in Things, and then later on kind of like document the work process that went behind it in Notion, so it is there as well. But the initial step happens in Things, you know, like the thought and just like the writing down or keeping the task in the system. Like the goal with that is just to increase the speed of implementation and increase the speed of, and basically decrease the time it takes for me to think about something and then have it written out, basically. Yeah, but I'm really excited on how that will kind of develop in the future. But yeah, so much about that. Now we're gonna get to the gym. After which I will be talking about how I will make my training as productive as possible to kind of fit into this whole routine as well. yeah, we just finished up with a nice little training session. Yeah, about my training, on how I will kind of do that in a productive way. I mean, for me, in the past year or so, I really realized how important recovery is, and I've been taking that a lot more serious, and while also decreasing training volume but increasing intensity. And so now I only train 4 times a week, doing like an upper lower split. So upper one, lower one, a day of rest, upper one, lower one. Since this also really works well with the martial arts training, since that really like just messes up your body and your recovery. But yeah, I've been seeing great progress in terms of strength and size as well, so I can definitely recommend that. Yeah, and apart from that, just like eating in a surplus, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm roughly around 4,600 calories daily now, while yeah, I'm 6'4" or 194 centimeters while weighing 106 kilograms. So yeah, that's the stats and so much about my training. Yeah, now we're gonna get home and yeah, call it a day. Alrighty guys, yeah, finished up with a nice little morning run and morning ice bath, and I thought that would be like the perfect transition to talk a little bit about, you know, making general health more productive, because ultimately if we're not healthy, then that also means that we can't really work as we would like or work out, you know, so it does have an effect on the other two things. I gotta say, my health over the last year or so has been very good, and not really doing that much to say, but I do think that there are some things that are really important. I mean, sleep is one. I already kind of talked about that, and for my sleep, pretty much all I do is I sleep with a sleeping mask because I like it to be very, very dark, and then I also try to not eat before going to bed. That works sometimes it doesn't. It does definitely have an effect on how well I sleep. Yeah, and then I also have my supplement routine, which I mean, I think my routine is pretty basic, honestly. I mean, all I take is ashwagandha, omega-3, creatine, vitamin D3, K2, and then also magnesium and sometimes electrolytes. So nothing crazy. Yeah, and apart from that, it's just like eating healthy, you know. I track pretty much all my meals in MyFitnesspal, and I also track my weight to kind of see how that fluctuates. And yeah, don't eat too much processed food. At least I don't do that. I mean, I do sometimes, but it's a rare occasion. And yeah, and I mean, apart from that, I think that really like sums it up, you know, like how what I do for my health. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but I don't think that it has to be that complicated all the time. But yeah, I think that really sums it up on like what I do to keep my life as productive as possible in all areas that I care about. I hope that you enjoyed the insights, and yeah, as always guys, thanks for watching.